Hi, everyone. I'm Callis-Birchmeier. I'm a certified change management professional and project management professional, and I'm also the author of Ready, Set, Change. One of the things I wanted to share with you today was my thoughts about how to develop and support people as they go through change. You know, with the Ready, Set, Change model, I focus on how to help people prepare for change so that they don't fall into that valley of despair where they really struggle because they have no idea what the benefit of the change is and what the vision for the future may be. So to help people with that, I think it's really important to spend time developing and supporting people as they go through the go live process. When we make a technology change of some kind, usually we have to have a couple of different kinds of training. We need to have some hands-on end user training. So people who will be actually using the system need to physically know how to use the system, what to click on, how things work. And I find that a lot of technical training focuses on what goes in each field on a screen, right? What kind of data goes into each field on a screen? Oh, this is a drop down. Oh, here you can enter this. But what I find lacking in a lot of training that you receive from a vendor when they say, I'm going to give you training, what I find to be lacking is the complete lack of workflow process from an end user perspective. Where do I get this information? How am I finding this? Now, where do I put it? Why am I putting it here? And then what happens next? So really having a sense of the workflow of like how things come to me, what I do with that information, and where does that information go in the future so I know what that workflow should be like. That's the piece that I always feel is lacking when I get technical training from a vendor that is really focusing on what to put in each field, but not necessarily sharing with the end user or the stakeholders why it matters, why it should be there. And again, it goes back to the why of the change, right? When we have the clear why of the change, then of course we're going to share with our end users, with our very important stakeholders, the why of the process flow, the why of the business redesign, the why of the workflow. So when I think about that, it's critically important that we truly develop training that teaches people how to do their job with the system rather than how the system functions, which is what I see a lot of. So focusing on how to do their job with the system is a workflow process training. And I like to use a training environment if we're doing technology training, which means that we have a specific and special database set up that has fake scenarios and has some fake data and information to ensure that the user can practice the new workflow without actually touching real end user data and without actually changing anything that's live. So we need this fake environment called a training database. And it's really critically important that we put that together. And it's a lot of work to put it together because you have to take a copy. You need a copy of your QA database, of your quality assurance database. And then you have to wipe out all the data and put fake data in, because many times when we have a QA database, we do have some live data in there. And we don't want people to see actual live information. So it's important that we wipe that out and replace it, and that the data supports the scenarios that we're using for the training. So maybe I have 15 different scenarios that I want my end users to be able to work through for their training so they understand how the system functions so they can do their job in the future. Well, I need to make sure that I have data in the training environment that matches those scenarios so that they can carry forward. And sometimes, we have to make it look like it works even when the system's not really functional yet behind the scenes. So that's an important piece. The second piece, I think, is once we've given people that training and helped our end users and our stakeholders go through specific training for the system or for the program or process, we need to then support them. And that support comes in a couple of different forms. One piece that I think is very important is to remember to include the help desk in the support. sometimes we forget our help desks. We get used to them helping everybody, but we forget that they need to be trained and they need to understand how to support end users as we go live. So ensuring that the help desk is very connected to the develop and support cycle. I think another piece that is incredibly important is to ensure that we have some sort of practice lab. This could be what we call sometimes a sandbox, which is a lab environment, a training environment that people can log into and practice things and get the hang of doing something over and over. Or we could do, some sort of a less high-tech system. Maybe we have some quizzes, maybe we have a lab, maybe we have some group walkthrough sessions if we don't necessarily have a sandbox or a training lab. And then at times I have had post-go live labs. And the post-go live labs are really good because you can have your users who already have access to the system sit down with somebody who's an expert, like a trainer or maybe someone from the help desk, and walk through a process that they're trying to make sure they're doing correctly and have tips and pointers, but they're in the live system using their real data. So that's really useful to them because they can remember it more easily if they're using their actual workflow process in the live system to do the work with some guidance. I also think it's really important that our leadership does not forget to step up and creates a command center of some type. And that could be a Zoom session every day, twice a day. It could be some sort of in-person huddle, if you will, but it's critical. It's very, very important because I want to make sure that our end users know that their leaders have their back. And when we have issues that come up, if we don't have this command center system already in place, like a 10 a.m. Zoom meeting every single day for 15 minutes. If we get to that meeting and we don't have anything to discuss, fine. But many times we have issues that have come up, and it's only through the collective minds of the leadership of the project that we can solve these issues, because sometimes they're coming from funny places. So this is a really important piece for me to stress to our leaders and to our sponsors, is that command center is a huge support piece for our end users and our stakeholders to go live and to be able to adopt change. We must give them that support of having a command center to watch their back and help them solve issues and to identify when things are not functioning as anticipated, or, oh, this is going to be a little different than we expected, and we can get on top of creating some additional training. So that's what I wanted to talk with you today, because I think that there's so many creative ways that we can think about training now. We can do a lot of things on Zoom. We can do so much with online training, and we can also track our online trainings much more easily than we could in the past. And I think that it's so important for all of our end users and stakeholders to really understand how to get their work done using the new system. It's really stressful when you don't understand how to finish your work because you don't quite understand or don't quite feel comfortable with the new system. So helping to develop and helping to support stakeholders and end users in going live with a change is a key to adoption and to successful change, and to helping those stakeholders and those end users reach the benefit of the change, which is the vision that we have for this change. So that's what I wanted to talk about with you today, and I really would love to hear from you. So please send me an email at april@springboard-consult.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn, and you are free to reach out to me on Instagram and also on Twitter. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next week.